Today is a very special day for our family because one of my little boy has a huge dream. He wants to become an astronaut someday. And today we are taking him to one of the most inspiring places on earth for anyone who dreamed about space, the NASA Space Center Houston. But this is not just a museum. Today, we're going behind the scene at NASA, riding the famous tram tour, seeing real spacecraft, standing underneath the legendary Saturn V rocket, and touching a real moon rocket, discovering what it really takes to become an astronaut. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the end because seeing my son's reaction when he saw the giant Saturn V rocket for the first time was honestly unforgettable. Let's go explore Space Center Houston. As soon as we arrived, the excitement on the boy's face was impossible to miss. Everywhere you look, you see rocket, NASA logo, astronaut, and families just as excited as we were. Space Center Houston is the official visitor center for NASA's Johnson Space Center and here in Texas, and this place is full of history. This is where astronauts train for missions. This is where mission controls supported some of the most important space missions in history. And this is where the future generation come to dream bigger. That is why we're here. The moment we walked in, the boys immediately started pointing at everything. Spaceship, astronaut suit, rocket engine, interactive exhibition. It honestly felt like stepping into the future. This is us touching a real moon rock. And if your kids love science, space, engineering, or even just adventure, this place is incredible. One thing I really love about Space Center Houston is how interactive everything is. This isn't one of those museums where kids just quietly walk around reading science. Here they can actually experience things hands-on. The boys got to explore astronaut training exhibit, interactive display, robotic technology, and learn how astronaut lives in space. Honestly, seeing their curiosity grow with every exhibition was one of the best parts of the day for me. The question never stopped. How do astronauts sleep? How do rockets fly? How do they eat in space? How do they breathe? And that's what makes this place so special. It makes learning exciting. You can literally see kids becoming inspired in real life. Okay, now it's finally time for the NASA tram tour. Honestly, this was one of the parts we were most excited about. The tram takes visitors behind the scene around NASA Johnson Space Center. And depending on the day, you may get to see astronaut training facility, mission operations area, or different historic NASA locations. As we drove around, it started to feel surreal because this is where we astronauts prepare for mission to space. This is where engineers, scientists, and astronauts work on technologies that help humanity explore beyond Earth. For the boys, this suddenly made space feel real, not just movie. Not cartoon, not science fiction, real people, real mission, real astronauts. And seeing their face during the tour was honestly amazing. At one point, my son looked up to me and said, one day I'm going to wear the astronaut and I'm going to space. That was just a wonderful one for me to hear. The power of places like this is that they make kids believe bigger. One thing I really love about Space Center Houston is how interactive everything is. This isn't one of those museums where kids just quietly walk around reading science. Here, they walk you around and explain everything to us, which is what exactly they are doing here. We were able to understand everything around this place, and it was amazing because the kid loved every bit of it. When you come here, don't just miss this NASA tram tour because it will give you an experience exactly like what we're doing right now. And if you're coming here, another tip is to wear comfortable shoes because there is a lot of walking. And if you're visiting with little kids like we are, definitely bring snacks and water. There are restaurant and food options inside, but they get busy quickly. And also, don't rush through the exhibition. Take your time. We had a wonderful tour. They explained everything to us, and right now they are taking us to our next place. So stay tuned and let's take you around and see what it looks like. One of the coolest things about Space Center Houston is discovering things most people don't even know exist here. For example, we were able to touch a real moon rock, an actual rock brought back from the moon. And yes, the boys were very excited about that. There are also exhibits showing what astronauts eat in space and how they sleep and how they live aboard the International Space Station. You can see real spacecraft, astronaut gear, space technology, robotics, and exhibits about future NASA missions. And what's really inspiring is realizing that the next generation of astronauts could be kids visiting this place right now. Maybe future scientists, future engineer, future astronaut, maybe even one of our boys. And then came the moment we'll probably never forget, the Saturn V rocket. The moment we walked into Rocket Park and saw it for the first time, we were speechless. Picture and video truly do not prepare you for how massive this rocket really is. It's absolutely gigantic. The Saturn V rocket stands over 360 feet tall when assembled. It was the rocket used during the Apollo mission that sent astronauts to the moon, and even today it remains one of the most powerful rockets ever built. Standing underneath it feels so real. Suddenly realized how bold and ambitious humanity was during the space race. This rocket carried astronauts beyond Earth, all the way to the moon. And seeing our boys stare up at it with complete amazement was honestly emotional. One of them kept saying, "I can't believe people actually went to the moon in this." And that's exactly what makes the Saturn V so inspiring. It represents courage, innovation, teamwork, and exploration, and the belief that impossible things can become possible. For me personally, this was probably the highlight of the entire visit, because standing underneath this giant rocket reminds you just how incredible human achievement can be. You know, today wasn't really just about rockets, it wasn't just about space, it was about inspiration, it was about showing our boys that dreams matter. Watching one of them become even more excited about becoming an astronaut was something we will never forget. Trips like this can genuinely change the way kids see the world, because suddenly science becomes exciting and learning becomes fun, and impossible dreams suddenly feels possible. Space Center Houston reminds you that exploration is part of being human, that curiosity matters, and that maybe one day the next person to walk on the moon could be a kid visiting this place today. Who knows? It's gonna be one of my kids. It was amazing to see all the mission they've accomplished, and nothing seemed impossible in front of the kids because they were able to see it for themselves, which is the beauty of you visiting it and looking at it yourself. It's such an inspiration, especially for kids. If you ever thought about visiting Space Center Houston, do it, especially if you have kids. This was honestly one of the most inspiring family experiences we've ever had. And who knows, maybe one of these little future astronauts will actually make it to space someday. If you enjoy coming along on this adventure with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below and tell us, if you could travel anywhere in space, where would you go? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Bye.